I've got my favorite Lightning, who loves a little stick. Well, actually, it's a chew bone stick, and he uh, he seems to can't get enough of them. How about you, Skippy? Oh my goodness, this is a first. This is a first on live. Skippy has never. Skippy is my other rescue dog. Come here. He well, Lightning just ran off with it, but Skippy has never. He might have been abused. I can't say. I just do know that some dogs that are rescued have issues. All right, and you got to deal with them on, well, patience, love, and understanding. Sort of like kids. By the way, aloha, kids. Anybody else is watching? This is a beautiful day in Arizona. It's very rare. It's like 94 degrees on July 7th, 16th, 25. Oh my. Is that something spiritual? Yes, it is. 7 is spiritual, but 1 and 6, 16th today, adds up to 7, and we're in the 25th year. 777. What are the chances of that? Well, we got a spiritual story for you. Yeah, sorry. It's about when I was proclaimed a saint in my first grade on my first day. I was proclaimed a saint, and Sister knew that my feast day was under who else? Patron of the highways. You know who that was, kids? Anybody's watching? That was Saint Christopher. Saint Christopher. That's right. He was a patron of the highways. Everybody got a medal. If you didn't get a medal, you at least if you were a Catholic school, you got some kind of black. Well, it was a brown cloth with Saint Christopher's picture, with our beloved little Jesus upon his shoulder, and that was where, well, the story goes. The sister went through it all. Hey, looks like I've actually got some people talking to me now. Hi, hello, wow. Let me get my glasses on. I'm not going to miss this one. This is my third one live. Dex, how you doing? And Uncle Martin from Veriz. Bless your hearts. Hello back. I'm going to try to read this because the sun isn't in my eyes this day. Because it's 94 degrees. What's the chances of July 16th being 94 degrees? Well, we're about to have some rain, which is way overdue. They call it monsoon. What we have is, well, the topic. What we have today is prejudice and the rope. That's right. Okay, Skippy, you got to go. Skippy heard prejudice and the rope. He had to go. A lot of people would say, prejudice and the rope? Who are you, Uncle Martin? Well, I'm a guy that says nothing but positive things, but when you go and say prejudice and the rope, it could be negative things, as it has well been. And as we know in life, there's both positive and negative. Anything you got a spoon that could be, well, that can be used to eat your cereal, or you got a spoon that can take somebody's organ out or something. There's positive and negative everything. What are you doing? You want another one? This guy, this guy. I got a dog. He cannot live without one of these. Do you have a dog that cannot live without one of these? Oh, you little bugger. I love this Doug. Okay, there he goes. Lightning. That's another story. I'll have something for you. So, what we got is prejudice and the rope. Let's get right down to it. Prejudice. What is prejudice? Prejudice is something you're not born with. All right. Believe me or not, when you're born, you don't have prejudice. Prejudice is taught to you. All right. Remember that, kids. Anybody who's watching Uncle Martin, prejudice is taught to you. Now, why would anyone want to teach you prejudice? Well, I think there's a game plan there. There's a lot of money involved. But other than that, it could be just something they've accepted at a younger age. That's what I'm saying. Young kids, you're all in kindergarten, preschool. Do you know about prejudice? No, you don't. Until you're taught prejudice. In fact, there's something in school now. Hopefully it's not, and our president is taking it out. It was under it was for it was under teaching non-prejudice to kindergartners. Now, why would you do that? Why would a helicopter be flying over me now? Ah, you see that? I get that a lot around here, but that's military. That's okay. I feel safer. I hope that came through. I don't know. We'll have to look back on that. So you got prejudice, and I'm going to get right down to it because we don't have much time here. I was brought up Catholic, and I asked Mom on my second grade when I was going to do First Holy Communion, I believe. Mom, why did we decide to be Catholic? And she said, that is the foundation that we have chosen. Oh man, is that not something to think about? We all have foundations. What are our foundations? Are they on quicksand? Or are they on dirt? Or are they on rock? Faith, belief in the higher realm is going to be rock. The rest is pretty much quicksand and dirt. It'll get washed away. But we all have things to learn. Okay, let me get on with everyone's a saint. That's what the nun told me in first grade. We're all going to be saints. And you know what? We're going to go tell everybody about this because you're in first grade. And you are the lowest on the echelon of hierarchy here. So you're going to go around to all the grades, which is up to sixth grade at that time. It was 1 to 6. We have different grades all through the nation. Could be kindergarten to 8th grade. Could be, oh man, I had 5th grades. I had kindergarten to 5th grade. Then I had in 6th grade, I had, oh man, thinking about, I went to 20 schools and I did graduate. So I got to see a lot of different grade, orientations. So in my 6th grade was kindergarten to 9th grade. Why would they do that? Well, that would be another topic, wouldn't it? And I was in 6th grade and I had to deal with the 9th grade bully of the school that beat up everybody. And I was in 6th grade and I took care of the guy. But I can't go there now. I'm staying with 1st grade. But if you want to jump ahead and find, ooh, baby. Whoa. It was episode 8. That one. Go down, scroll down to episode 8. I'll tell you how Uncle Martin took care of a 6th grader. And it's all true stories. I'll go into that on live. But right now we got to stay with prejudice and the rope. So everyone's a saint. Now, when I told Sister that I was born on, no, you've got to go. Yes. He's looking for another Chewy. I don't have any more. I told Sister I was under Saint patrons, the patrons of the highways, Saint Christopher, and she says, "Oh yes, I already know that." Yeah, she must have heard about it somewhere. I think I told her. And so when I thought when the Saints were coming out, I was gonna get picked for. No, she said no, you're not. And prior to that, we had like this little booklet, a little booklet of like, it was a small little booklet. We had 24 Saints in it. She went over like 5 or 6 of them, and I believe there was only, oh gosh, there was 25 of us in the room. How do you remember that? Because the two twins, the Viking chicks in the back, she said, you don't get one. You have to share. So it comes back to me now. There were some twin Saints, and they got to be them. I don't remember what that was. Skippy, you want to come up here? Come on. Yeah, he can't stay away. He's my boy. He's my boy. So I had the 2 Viking chicks. Why do I say that? Because they had braids, and one of them was in love with me. But nah, that'd be another story. Could have been the one on the swing on kindergarten. I believe it was. So what we have here is some loving dogs. Very rare. I'm sorry. I'm trying to keep this all together. But hello Uncle Martin. Hello back. Anybody that's writing me, I'm going to try to stay with you. But I got to go on with the story. So sister says to me, I know about you being the patron of your birthday being on St. Christopher, patron of the highways, but it's going to go to Johnny over here. I said, Johnny? I didn't think that. I would think that was a crummy idea. And then she said, well, I got something for you, Uncle Martin. You will be St. Martin. I said, St. Martin? Sister, you didn't go over that guy. Out of the 24 saints that we went over like 15 of them or something like that. But we didn't get to St. Martin. In fact, he wasn't even in the book. She says, so is St. Martin is what you're going to be. I said, oh yeah, what did he do? He says, oh, he did miracles. Miracles. Actually, he did. But all she told me what at the time, until I did research on it, she said he had a bowl that had a mouse, a cat, and a dog eat out of the same bowl. I said, boy, that sounds... She said, that's why it was a miracle. Yeah, well, later on when I read into it, after I got out of school, because I didn't read many books after my fourth grade, and I went into that, Vikings versus Columbus. Can't go there. You look it up if you want. I don't care. I am concerned. She said, that's what he did. What I want you to do is go home, get a headdress from your mom, and make sure you bring a bowl. That's all I had. So that was the beginning of prejudice. I'll go forward from there. I get home. I see Dad, and I say, Dad, I'm a saint. And he says, oh, really? Who are you? I said, I'm St. Martin. He says, hey, that's fantastic. I said, Mom has to make me so. Yeah, Mom will do it. She's able. So Mom made me a white, actually it was a white sheet. She put it over me. I had a hood, a white sheet and a hood. Hey, by the way, you can see my face. And that was all I had to go in the next day. But what I'm saying is where the rope comes in, I walked into the living room. It was a surprise of my life. I opened up the door. What did I see in the middle of the living room? It was a Navy rope hanging from the middle of the ceiling. And I said, Dad, how did you do that? Now, most people would say, why did you do that? As a matter of fact, everybody after that came into that room said, why? I asked, how? So Dad went into detail. He said, Mom got the ice pick. She went in the middle of the room. She stuck it in the middle of the ceiling. And then from there, since I was up in the ceiling, I could see the pinhole, which I carved out a square, put up the 2x4s, and then I put a Lego bolt down. And as you can see, you can swing around or climb it, and there will be no harm to the ceiling. I said, Dad, that's fantastic. So that's what happened. We swung around on the rope for maybe a day or two, I believe it was only like maybe 24 hours. Somebody kicked over a lamp and the light went out and the shade got messed up. And Mom said no more swinging. Dad said that's absolutely correct. It's for climbing. And that's my point. How did this all happen? We got so strong. I'm saying we started at a young age. Are the kids starting at a young age now? Are you able to climb anything? Are you able to have your own body weight? That's the whole idea. Have your body weight. Work with your body weight. So, Dad, we had climbed in the beginning. No more swinging. We did in the back. I don't know, when they were gone somewhere. We did swing, but we got a black belt because we did break something, and we didn't swing too much. But we climbed. We climbed like little monkeys. So we climbed up and down. We got too fast. Dad said, no, that sounds good. So I want you to sit your butt on the ground. I want your 2 feet, your two feet, and a V. Your butt on the ground or your V. And then from there, hand over hand, up to the top as fast as you can. And then when you get to the top, you touch the ceiling. And then you come down as slow as you can. I love this dog. He is the best dog in the world. Lightning. Anyway, we got really good at that. We weren't going to sleep like we were supposed to. So Dad had to do another number. He did something that nobody, first of all, a rope. What's the craziness of that? So what he did was in our bedroom, he put a pole, a round pole, that we would climb up and down as many times as we wanted to before we go to bed. Because after, Top Cat, I think after the Flintstones for sure, we had to go to bed. Mom and Dad had studying to do. I think it was studying. They were going to NAU, becoming graduates. Dad did, Mom didn't because she skipped out on 52 credits because she had to take care of the kids at a certain point. So Dad did get philosophy. He got a teacher's bachelor and all that up in NAU in Flagstaff. So when the pole thing came in, I finally climbed maybe 5 or 6 times and I could go to bed. After climbing the rope all day, playing out in the playground all day, we had a lot of energy. As kids do now. But they don't get these options. They get pills. Don't want to go there. So I get back to school. I have my gown and I have my bowl. Now, Sister said bring some corn. I didn't have any corn. So we had some, I don't know if it was Rice Krispies or some kind of rice or something in the bowl. Sister said, that's fine. Yeah. And I want you, Uncle Martin. No, she called me. You are now Saint Martin. And I want you, because we're going to go around to the whole school and tell everybody what saint we are. So when I went in, I think I was first. Saint Sebastian was behind me. Now that I think about it, that's the guy that was tied to a tree or a pole or something. He shot full of arrows and everything. And that guy was remarkable because that getup he had was phenomenal. All I had was a white sheet and a bowl. But I went in and I said, and that's what she said, this is what I want you to say. I am St. Martin. I made the mouse, the cat, and the dog eat out of the same bowl. All right, go figure. So I went from first to second, third, fourth. When I got to the 5th grade, everything changed. It changed in a manner that I didn't realize. When I went to the 5th grade, I just walked in the room and I said, I am St. Martin. And they bursted up laughing, clapping like nobody's business. I didn't even have that in the other 4 grades that I went to. I'm thinking, I didn't even tell them what I did. And then finally when I got to the 6th grade, and I said, I am St. Martin. And they all clapped and bursted like the last class. I said, I've had enough of this. I waited until they stopped and I said, I am St. Martin. They did it again. I said, I am St. Martin. I made the mouse, the cat, and the dog eat out of the same bowl. I didn't get no clap. Just when I came in and said St. Martin. So I get in the back of the room. Now Sebastian comes in with the arrows. He has arrows all over him. Everybody's clapping. I think it was a tie between him and I as far as, claps go. But I went in the back room and I was asking this one guy, a big guy, sixth grader. I said, "Why were you laughing?" He says, "Why am I laughing? Because St. Martin is black." I said, "Yeah, but you're white." And it kind of it was loud enough to where everybody's listening now. And I said, "Yeah, but what's the problem?" And he says, "Yeah, but you're white and he's black." And everybody started laughing again. And I looked over and I saw the nuns laughing too. And I'm thinking, man, I think I've been set up on this one. I just had my first test of prejudice. And I didn't eat it. That plate was before me and I decided to throw it away. And I said, "This is wrong. I don't care if I'm black or white. I'm a saint." But I'm saying there are only 5 colors. Think about it, kids. Anybody's watching. 5 colors. There's black, white, red, yellow, and brown. That's all there is. Well, how do you tell if somebody's prejudiced? I'll tell you how they're prejudiced. You say, "Hey, you're prejudiced." You know what they're going to say? "I'm not prejudiced against black, white, blue, green." And you know what? At one time there were green and blue people here. I can't go there right now, but I have some evidence on it on another story. So that's one way of you knowing when they pick one of the colors that are not part of the 5 colors that we're dealing with right now. Now, what I find is, yeah, I got a dog that's jumping off me. One is jumping on me. Yeah, you're a loving dog. I just want to say, I forgot about the poll. Oh my God. That poll that was in the middle of our living room, Mom kept banging her head in our bedroom, and she said, "Mark, we got to change that." And we all laughed at the table, and all of a sudden, it wasn't funny anymore after we saw her look. He never did take the poll down, so the poll going up and down was basically just one of those little extras, kids, that you could get when you think about a father that thinks outside the box, which I had. Now, I was going to stop there, but I got one more short one for you, if you can hang out. It was basically the last rule. Remember the last rule that I talked about in the last episode, I believe, where you never ever hit a girl. I never ever want to see you start a fight. I never want to see you run from a fight. If you got to fight, you arm wrestle first. And I don't care if you arm wrestle or fight, win or lose. You shake hands. Sportsmanship. I said, "Yeah, Dad, I remember learning that in 1st grade on my first fight." Now the 4th one was if there's someone bigger than you. And that would be the 4th rule. I got to do it real fast for you because I figured there's a few views out there. What do we got here? Gonzalez says hi. Yeah, bless your heart. So we got, hey, any of you guys put comments down for later. I'll answer them as soon as I can. So we got the guy, he was called the Hood. He was the Hood of Raritan, New Jersey. Now, Mom called him the Hood. Dad called him Kids. Dad was just one of those people. They're not hoods. They're kids, which I believe is true. Kids, you aren't hoods. You are not hoods. You're just kids. Maybe you were brought up to where you became hoods. It's all good in the hood. But in reality, what we give out, we get back. So hopefully you're all understanding that at this time. So my first 4th grade, I'm carrying up pillows and lampshades. And Dad says, "If I see you do one more thing like that, it's going to be a black belt." I said, "Okay, Dad." So I ended up carrying up heavier things, but the people that were watching me was like 6 of them, and the 7th one was about the size of my dad. And they were all snickering at me. Now, they were snickering to where maybe these kids could have helped us move our big U-Haul into our third-story apartment above the pharmacy, but they didn't. They just sat there and snickered. Now, the main guy, he was kind of the leader, and that's where the last rule comes in. Long story short, I had candy. And the candy that I had in the bag out of the candy shop, which was across the street, he wanted some. Actually, he said, "Hey kid, come here." And he grabbed me and said, well, first he said, I'd like you to share your candy with me. And I said, no, I don't think so. He grabbed me, pulled me closer, said, "Share your candy with me." And then he waited for my answer. I said, no. I said, "I'm going to tell my dad." And then he shoved me back. I caught myself before I fell. Now, I was on cement, could have hurt myself, but I was quick-footed. And what I found was that, well, here comes another helicopter, but it's a police helicopter. Hey, isn't that interesting? 2 helicopters in one day. What's the chances of that? So I said, telling my dad, they all laughed, but he let me go. So I get upstairs. I did have a couple candies. My mom said, "Hey, do you have any candy?" I said, "No." I kind of lied, but hey, it was before dinner. You're not supposed to eat candy. So I'm sitting down at the table. Dad says, "I heard there was some commotion down there." I said, "Yeah, the laughter was the big guy." Mom says, "The hood." And Dad didn't say the kids anymore. He knew who she was talking about. See, the windows are open. You can hear everything down there. It's like a breeze will bring it in. So he heard most of the conversation. He was just asking me what happened. And I said, "Well, he wanted my candy." And he says, "And he did what? He shoved you?" I said, "Yeah, he shoved me." He says, "What did you do? Did you look at him wrong?" I said, "No, I didn't look at him wrong." He said, "Did you say something?" I said, "No, I didn't say anything." He says, "Okay." So we finished our dinner. After that, he said, "Let's go for a walk." So we go down the stairs. And now we're going down the stairs, over the stoop, to the green car with the 6 of them, actually 7. The leader was out in front. And my dad, holding my hand, went over and walked over and said, "Hey, my name is Mr. And I understand you shoved my son." And the guy says, "Yeah," which was fantastic, because if he'd said no, I could have gotten a beating. Hey, dead man, hello there. Leave a comment later, because I can't get any after this. So I said, thank God the guy said yes to my dad's question. So my dad's shaking the guy's hand. The guy's happy to shake my dad's hand. Now my dad's shaking his hand, and I'm standing there right there, and this guy has, well, he's the same size as my dad. My dad has no fear. Well, you don't know. My dad was a boxer in the Navy on a minesweep, and he won a few battles. And not only that, I didn't tell you this, but on I think it was my first one with my first fight in kindergarten, we had boxing gloves 16-ounce boxing gloves given to us at 5 years old. So we were boxing, bro and I. Every time we got a belt a lot, but we got to also go in the ring, as Dad said, and he was the referee. Nobody could hit anybody in the face. You could hit anywhere in the chest, in the arms, nothing below the belt. You know, Marcus of Queenberry rules. So we had that as a rule, and bro and I got pretty good at it, actually. Sometimes we didn't have the gloves on, but we still didn't hit each other in the face. That's what it came down to. So he's telling this guy, "You shoved my son. If you ever do it again, we will go to another level." This guy, he turned like white. And then my dad was still shaking his hand. The guy could tell he wanted to get away from my dad's hand, and my dad didn't let him go. As a matter of fact, my dad squeezed harder. I could see blood vessel sticking out of this guy's arm. I was standing right there. And Dad didn't do it to where the guy was crying and let me go. He came to the point where he was just getting a message across. We will go to another level next time you touch my child. And he let him go. And that guy, well, he was the bully of the block. He was the leader. He changed his whole tune and said, yes, mister, it'll never happen again. And then we went up and we finished our dessert. Now, from that point, that's when I got my fourth rule. Dad, at bedtime, said, you know, son, there's going to be a time when you're going to have, and it's not going to be one-on-one. It's just not. It's just not going to happen. It's going to be more than one-on-one. And when you see that's going to happen, and they get you in a ring, or you can see it's more than one-on-one, what you have to decide is, how are you going to handle it? And how you will handle it is calmly. You'll go casually over to the biggest person in that ring. You'll go over and knock him out. Dad, he says, it has to be that way, because otherwise they'll all come in and take advantage of you, to where prior to that, if you go over casually, never run, has to be a surprise, and you hit the biggest guy, at least the circle will be open for you to leave. Not only that, if you think about it, anybody that has to take advantage of you as an individual more than one-on-one, they have to be very weak. Weak morally, weak mentally, weak emotionally, definitely weak. And they are not strong people. So when you go over and hit the biggest guy, who they think is the strongest, that's giving a message to leave you alone. I said, hey, Dad, that sounds logical. And that's what I've done all my life. Well, actually, I went to 20 schools. I did graduate. And I had to have that to where, well, actually, it did come in on my first year of high school. I went to 3 different high schools. And on my first high school, oh man, this is a story nobody would ever believe. I had I had well, it was half black, half white, and they took over the school with bats and chains. All right, it was 1970. It was tumultuous times, and they took over the cafeteria, the principal's office, and the library. All right, those are the 3 places. I can't go there right now, but if you have time, check out episode 7. It'll give you a heads up. I have more on it because I got more on it, but right now I got a fine line. I'm into 33 minutes. How did this happen? Okay, so I just wanted to get one more thing out there. My fight with Billy the Bully and Raritan, it's very important because it was during the times of very tumultuous times of 1963. If anybody remembers Cassius Clay, who was in 1963, I think he was the best fighter in the world. Yeah, he was a black fighter. So what? You got a problem with that? You got a problem with me? He changed his name in 1964 to Muhammad Ali. I think it was March 6, 1964, if I'm not mistaken. He did a fantastic, well, see, he had the same grade average as I did, a D. Until I started studying on the last 2 weeks of high school. I didn't read a book after my fourth grade. This is all true because of what happened on my fourth grade. That would be Vikings versus Columbus. If you ever have time, check it out. So we have June 4th, 1995. Muhammad Ali went into Harvard and he gave this fantastic speech. It was The Truth, which I happened to put in one of my videos. I believe it was Truth versus a Lie. And if you ever check out that poem, which I scenarioed, it's fantastic. I think the guy was quite a marvelous boxer, plus his psychology was more for healing and health rather than destruction. That's my opinion. And I guess it was, 1964. Um, he did have that fight with Liston. Yeah, it was the seventh round, and Liston didn't come out to the bell, so it was a TKO in 64. It was mixed on the cards. But if you look into it, 1965, the first round, yeah, Muhammad Ali knocked him out. It was called the Phantom Punch. I'll go into all that some other time. I just wanted to get, oh man, I'm going to do it real fast as I can. It was Billy the Bully, my fight in my first fourth grade when I had to deal with Billy the Bully. What do? You got a bully. First of all, kids, you can't be a snitch. You can't tell your parents, can't tell your teachers. You got to take care of it yourself. Why is that? Because eventually they'll catch up to you. They'll catch up to you and deal with you on a harder level. Trust me. You gotta deal with this yourself. And that's why I put out episode 1 and 2. Out of all my 500 videos, if you go to 1 and 2, you'll be able to take care of any bully without any help. Okay? And that's what I started with. Uncle Martin, how to beat up a bully without having a fight. That's what I started with. But all of a sudden after that, they said, it's Uncle Martin, how to beat up a bully. See, that's how it works, kids. They only take half the truth. Just like this, prejudice and the rope. People are going to take that out of context. Prejudice and the rope. We got to realize that there's many ways of looking at things. It's a dichotomy of this planet. There's positive and negative things, and we get to choose whether they're going to be positive or negative. It's pretty easy. So here I am at 4 a.m. in 1963 getting my pencils and erasers together. Dad comes in the room and says, what are you doing up at 4 a.m.? I said, Dad, I'm getting ready for school, my first day. I'm pretty excited. He says, get to bed. What's the matter with you? We'll put those pencils and erasers in a paper bag for you. Don't worry about it. And he says, by the way, here's a quarter. It's going to cost a dime for your lunch. I want the change. I said, Dad, don't worry about it. So I go to bed. I wake up. I go to school. I get to school. Well, before I get to school, there's 2 kids in front of me, and they're giving money to some guy, and then it's my turn, and he says, give me your money. I said, I don't have any money. He says, give me your money or I'm going to beat you up. And I said, oh, yeah? You want to arm wrestle? He says, no way. And I said, you don't want to arm wrestle? Hey, okay. And by the way, kids, when you challenge somebody in arm wrestling, make sure that there's a witness around you. You know why? Do you know why? Because that shows the witness that this guy doesn't want to arm wrestle you, and there's fear. That means a lot. I didn't do that. I didn't wait for anybody around me. I didn't have a teacher or anybody around me. I was happy to hear that he didn't want to arm wrestle. I was going to beat his. I couldn't wait for tomorrow. And then all of a sudden, I get inside, and the kids inside, they heard about it. They said, "Hey, did you give Billy the bully your money?" I said, "Nah, I didn't give him nothing." And then everybody says, "Whoa, whoa, whoa." And then Billy looks at me mean, and then Sister looks at me mean. Why is Sister looking at me mean? Was she in on it? She was German. We had to say every morning, "Guten Tag, meine Schwester." Yeah, she taught us German. Well, I was half German. What the heck? I was half Italian. So I get home. Going on the way home, I see all these Polish women, Italian women, and all these, not old, but women with more experience. And I'm thinking, they're going to catch this fight tomorrow, and I'm going to be pummeling the heck out of Billy, and I'm going to get the black belt. Do you remember the rules? Never, ever hit a girl. If I see or hear of you fighting, it's going to be a black belt beating like you've never had before. And if you don't arm wrestle first, and I don't care if you arm wrestle or fight, afterwards you shake hands. Good sportsmanship. I said, Dad, I know about that. And then that's where, I guess that's where the fourth rule came in that I already told you about. There's more than you or the other guys. So I'm now thinking I can't be a squealer, but I can tell my dad I'm going to beat the pulp out of this guy because he didn't want to arm wrestle me. See, I wasn't asking for help. I was just covering my tracks. So I get up to dinner halfway through. I said, hey, Dad, Billy the bully. And he looks at me. I said, we're going to have a fight tomorrow. He says, oh, really? Did you ask to arm wrestle first? I said, yes, I did. And by the way, here's the 15 cents that I owe you. And then he says, good job. Mom flips out. Well, not to where you look at Mom and her facial expressions were like off the wall. You know when moms are really upset about something and they can't say anything because they can't override Dad normally. So she says immediately after that, she says, I want you. She says, son, I want you to find a mortal enemy. I want you to find a mortal enemy. I want you to grab him and bring him over to your side. I said, Mom, a mortal enemy? That sounds like somebody wants to kill me. She says, son, I never said it was going to be easy. But I know that you have the strength within you to do it. I said, oh, wow. I said, forget about this, I'm thinking. Well, I had to ask, well, why would I want to do that, Mom? And she said, because if you can do that, get a mortal enemy, bring him over to your side, he will be the bestest best friend that you will ever have the rest of your life. I said, Mom, how could this be? She says, that's just the way it works, son. If you can do that, it'll be very positive. And she was absolutely correct. After that, there's two instances. I had mortal enemies. Actually, I had to beat them up. I probably should have arm wrestled them more. That's what I'm trying to say, kids. If you don't have to fight. Just arm wrestle. And I told you in episode 1 and 2 how that's done, but just arm wrestle them and it won't happen. A fight won't happen. But my ego got to me. I was brought up with boxing and wrestling and martial arts later, but it was like, I bypassed a lot of times the arm wrestling where I could have, all right? That was negative on my side. I agree at this point. So we got Billy the bully now in class looking at me like it's all over, buddy boy. Especially after he saw at lunchtime I got 15 cents change. But Dad says good job, Mom says good, mortal enemy. So I had Dad as my strength, I had Mom as my spiritual strength. And after dinner, Dad said, let's go for a walk. I thought I was going to get some candy across the street. Nah, it didn't happen that way. Get that down off the stoop down there, and what happens? No, a dog doesn't lick your face. What happens is he caught me off guard. He said, do you know where Billy lives? I said, yeah. And I thought, oh my God, why did I say that? He says, let's go for a walk. So I had to go show him where Billy lives. Now, Billy lived about 3/4 at least of a mile away. And I'm saying, on the way there, I kept pumping Dad, why the heck are we doing this? And all, he wouldn't tell me a thing. We get to the stoop. We climb up to the stairs. Open the door opens. There's Billy's dad. Billy's below, giving me the fist in the hand before anything is even said. It's like, I'm a snitch. Why is my dad there? I told on him. It wasn't that at all. I was going for a walk with Dad, and he wanted to know where you live, but I couldn't tell him that. So Dad goes and says to Billy's dad, he says, you know what? My son and your son have a misunderstanding, a disagreement. Yeah, kids are. His dad says, oh, yeah. And my dad says, well, maybe something could happen if they get in a fight. And the dad says, yeah. And as you well know, if you remember Which one was that? Mayor of Millstone, New Jersey. You know, when Dad says, "Come on, bring your axe." That one. And when he got the message across to the mayor of Millstone, this is like the second time it's working where Dad is now telling this guy something that he's going to get to learn. Dad was a teacher. So the guy says he's not saying anything until 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 Dad gets to well, it was actually, and if they get caught on school grounds, yeah, those wind chimes sound up for me. If you get caught on school grounds, they'll be excommunicated. It's not excommunicated. It's you're thrown out of school. You don't get to come back. I hope I am as wise as you in my time. Angelic care. God bless you. So we have Dad saying they can get excommunicated on school grounds. You don't ever come back again, whatever that is. And that guy still didn't say anything. So my dad had to go one more time. He had to go with, I mean, my dad kept going until he grabbed him. He grabbed him and he had him. And he got him on this one. He said, "Well, sir, you do realize if these kids get in a fight and fall on glass on private property, you have a lawsuit." And the guy says, "Lawsuit?" He says, "That's a lot of money." And the guy says, "Lawsuit?" So my dad had him. My dad had him good. So now the guy was at my dad's beck and call, which my dad suggested this, which is astronomically. What's the chances? He said, "Look, I got a situation here, to where we can cover this whole matter. You come on over. I'm just down the road. Yeah, like almost a mile, just down the road. We live on top of the pharmacy off of Sunset Street. We're on the 3rd floor. If we go up top, there's a black roof. It's all around wire mesh. It looks like a boxing ring, for crying out loud. You and Billy come on over tomorrow. I think it was Wednesday. Days. I'm pretty sure it was Wednesday. I think it was Tuesday. That's what it was. It was the second day. So yeah, because we had the fight on Tuesday. There you go. First day was Monday. Second day was Tuesday. How this is coming back to me. So he says, "Come on over tomorrow night, and we'll have we'll have the kids in 16-ounce boxing gloves." I gave my kids this years ago. We've always had a great time. Why don't you come on over my house? We'll put the gloves on. I'll be the referee. We'll have a great time. The guy had nowhere to go. So the next night he was over on top of my roof that next night. But during the next day, everybody wanted to know where the fight was. Whenever there's a fist in the hand, whenever anybody says, "Hey, there's a fight tomorrow, there's going to be a fight, this Uncle Martin's not paying the money, who is this new kid in town?" Well, Billy's saying in class, "There is no fight." And Sister is smiling. Everybody else is in amazement. Why isn't he fighting? So I didn't spill the beans, by the way. I said nothing about it. But somebody, must have been Billy, because that night when we went up at 6 o'clock, Bro, Dad and me, we had the boxing gloves, and we opened up the door. We got up there on top of the roof. You know what happened? There wasn't enough standing room. I mean, just a little bit in this little square there. Sort of like there was 38 to 50 people up there. I mean, maybe more. There was no standing, and there was little kids, big kids, middle kids. There was kids. I thought all around was there, but it was only the few blocks that heard about it. It's sort of like washwomen. They get out a story, and that's what I was concerned about. If I was beating up on Billy and nobody saw the fight. So this was working out quite well for me. Now we get up there, and Billy doesn't want to fight. Billy and his dad are in the middle of the ring, and they don't want. Well, Billy doesn't want to put on the gloves. Dad said, "Okay, we'll put on gloves." And Dad could see it. The kid didn't want to do this. So he says, "What?" And Dad and the kid weren't going anywhere because this is the main event. So Dad, thinking the way he does, he says, "Bro, Uncle Martin, put on the gloves." And we put on a glove so many times. Now, in this case, we were told never to hit anybody ourselves in the face. We made an exception. We were hitting each other in the face, but we were holding our punches to where everybody said, "This is amazing. This is a fantastic fight." They were cheering. They were excited. And that's what I'm saying. All our life, we would be fighting in the store, in the car, everywhere we went. Bro and I were always fighting, and whoever cried or whatever, it didn't matter. I got the black belt more than. Anyway, it came to a point where they could see that Bro was an antagonist. He was not the guy, you know. He was not innocent. So then that's when the gloves came on. So when they got on this time up on the roof, Bro was 22 months younger. He went down. But now it's my turn to fight Billy. And it went pretty quick. After that, my dad saw the excitement in the room and he said, "This is, in his mind, remarkable. I got somebody here." He'd love to be a referee, I guess. He loved boxing. Cassius Clay, Muhammad Ali. Man, it was during the times. Boxing was big, man. Just look into that time period. Boxing was all about, manhood and standing up for your rights and on many different levels. So Dad said, this is Tuesday. He said, now every Wednesday will be grudge night. Anybody that has a grudge, anywhere in the block area, you challenge that person and you come up here at 6 o'clock and we will have a boxing match and I will be the referee. It went wild. Everybody went crazy. Everybody cheered. It was fantastic. And then immediately after that, there was that bully, the hood, that when he grabbed me, and Dad says, "If you ever touch my son again, we'll go to another level." That guy, he reaches down and starts grabbing my gloves to untie, because what he said, he says, "I challenge you," and he challenged some smaller guy over in the corner, and he was going, he couldn't get my gloves off fast enough, so he's helping me with my right glove, and then all of a sudden, I'm looking at him, he's looking at me, and then we're looking up at Dad, and the guy says, no, I'm only helping him off with his gloves. It was so cute. He didn't want to go to another level with Dad, but he wanted to take out this other guy. So my gloves come off. They get put on the leader. And the leader and the smaller guy have the fight. Dad's the referee. The little guy pummeled the pulp out of the leader. And know what happened? The leader that was the bully of the block or blocks, he was never the same again. And that is my point with bullies, as I was trying to get across earlier. Once you put a bully in their place, they are never the same again. Actually, they begin to follow you if you're involved. And then it's your choice whether you want to go positive or negative. You could become the next bully, or you could keep everybody in line saying, this is wrong, this is negative. That's all. Gosh, I've gone really kind of long here, 53 minutes. I don't know who's left. I guess I got a few people, but if there's any comments left for you, please leave them. Give me a thumbs up or down. As far as subscribes go, I'm not one of those guys that do that. I always leave it up to the people after you watch my video to do that by your free choice. But as far as thumbs up and down, I would like that. And a comment is always good because, excuse me, you can say to me, what were you talking about on that issue? What do you mean? And give me a question, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Until then, I think that's about all I had. Yeah, I guess so. So, all the birds are chirping. I got to feed them. I got a bunch of cats in the back, sundown. They're all cooing and making noise. Feed your dogs, feed your cats, feed your birds. Until we see each again. And tomorrow, ooh, baby, I got one for you tomorrow. Now, people still say that they feel that I'm prejudiced, okay? I got news for you. If there was anybody that could be prejudiced, it would be Uncle Martin. Why do you say that? Well, because, for instance, my first high school I went to, where my parents graduated high school, I'm giving you a thumbs up on what I'm going to say tomorrow for my thumbnail. Yeah, it's going to be, oh, baby, more than interesting and a true story. Very factual. We had 1970, our whole school taken over, all right? Not the whole school, I exaggerate. It was, again, as I reiterate, the principal's office, which I had been to the day before because I got detention. And then that was the day I had detention that this all happened. That I got thrown down a flight of stairs, fist in the hand, which means it'll be after school. I thought since I was going to detention, it could be a pass. It didn't work out that way. And I had over 250 black kids waiting for me as I burst open the doors. What are the chances of that? Well, see, what happened was I was involved with a buddy of mine that was a Tom. Tom was Tom was an altar boy. I was an altar boy. And Tucky was an altar boy. 3 white guys. Well, we were in East Millstone at the time in 1965, so we were altar boys already, well, 1970 for sure. But now 3 altar boys had nothing really to do with the rioting that went on. I'm just giving you a heads up. The kids only took over the school for those 3 places because there was 10 rules that they wanted, you know. I'll go over that, but that's all they wanted. But it just so happens that 3 altar boys were also involved, to where about 250, maybe 3. I'm thinking maybe even more, because after the riot in school, they had nothing else to do except wait for Uncle Martin, which happened to be a fight that was inevitable, and I have that for you. It'll be under, oh gosh, I'm trying to think of the thumbnail now, but it's like, it'll be under taking over the school. They didn't take over the school. They only took over the library, the principal's office, and the cafeteria. I can't put that in there. I'll just say a misunderstanding. And it was a misunderstanding. It's because what Tom did that now I was involved in. And what happened to Tucky. He was put in a hospital for 2 weeks. I didn't know even it was Tucky. I just knew that I was next when I opened up the doors. And what I thought for 3 seconds, 3 seconds that had nothing to do with all the people that I saw before me. It was a stupid story my mom told us about when I said to Mom, ever since I was a kid, how did you and Dad get together? And she said, it was true love. And that's where I'll begin. The true love story, and then I'll go into the misunderstanding, and that'll be it. God bless you for listening this long. Leave me a comment, thumbs up or down. From there, it's up to you. And until then, be well. God victory.